Fridays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, Alex.
It is.
We're about to go off the cuff.
Oh, that is happening. That is for sure happening. Look, there wasn't a lot of news coming out of 49ers land. Not a lot of things going on right now with this team. A lot of it happened Monday. That's all that information came out Monday, and not all that information came out on Tuesday. And you know what? Sometimes, and for some people, that would mean nothing to talk about, or let's watch film and start making up fairy tale fantasy discussions about Nick Bosa apparently can't play well, and then break down the film and show Nick Bosa doing his job multiple times, or, just random stories about, nonsensical things happening, or, interviewing players if you have so lucky to have the connections and asking them silly questions. A lot of 49ers podcasts doing a lot of weird things on a Tuesday / coming into Wednesday. Not here.
I don't know how many people watch, our show Big Yikes on Patreon. I don't know how many are actually watching, but there's people called TAFs now, and there are people that don't understand football at all. Hello, Grant Cohn, you are officially a TAF 100%. And if you don't believe me, go watch his film breakdown.
Holy cow!
Jack Hammer is doing everything he can to agree with Grant Cohn,
Yes,
while knowing Grant Cohn is completely full of malarkey.
Dude, the best part of it, right? The one of the first clips I showed you from that breakdown was them talking about Bosa. He's eating up, right, an inside trap block. He eats it, stands it straight up, doesn't get knocked back. It gets hit and poof, it's head back a little bit, but basically stands his ground, doesn't lose any
outside contain.
Doesn't give any leverage, forces Connor to go up inside. You have Azeez Al-Shaair coming up and eating up a block too, and
he's on the lead back, takes him on.
Literally frees up Devon Wilson and Emmanuel Mosley to come up in space and be able to secure and make a play, and neither guy does. Devon Wilson gets chipped inside by Christian Kirk, and Emmanuel Mosley takes a bad angle, and Connor is able to get to the edge. I literally watched it. Grant Cohn's giving his description of it, and he's like, he doesn't even see him, right? He just, boom, look, he just knocked backward, and Jack Hammer starts to actually, Nick Bosa is kind of doing his job here in this block, and Grant is like, no, Jack.
How dare you?
He literally snapped his fingers, and then Jack Hammer's like, no, you're right, Thanos, I'm so sorry. He is terrible. He's the worst. It's awful. Look, there's a lot of people talking about a lot of things right now. I don't know if we're in that boat, and I'm not going to start going there. I'm definitely looking forward to breaking down the All-22 film. Shout out to Game Pass and the NFL for getting that out on time, actually available on Tuesday, so we'll be able to get this up for people sooner rather than later, which is always a great thing for Patreon, for them to get a look at it. But look, we're gonna dive into some off-the-cuff stuff, just talking about the 49ers, what's being said, what's going on, and what's happening in 49ers land. So make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell. Odell Beckham passed his way through the waiver wire, stunned, shocked by all of this. Pat McAfee came out and said OBJ actually his number one landing spot is now Green Bay. So, Ant, we went from when we were going live on our reaction show, OBJ's top 3 teams were, I think it was New Orleans, San Francisco, and Seattle, and now it's Green Bay. If OBJ is the one saying this, I'm not stunned that he's jumping around all over the place. And if you're the 49ers, you're not going to spend too much time on this. You're going to call, you're going to figure out, is there any interest? Can we get this done? And if he's, playing games, then you're just going to be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to go on living my life and focusing on this upcoming week.
Yeah. Before I talk about it, look up something for me while I'm talking about OBJ.
All right.
The Tennessee Titans just put someone on waivers.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
So pull that up, and for some reason the name is escaping me, but I looked up his stats and everything like that. He used to play for, I believe, the Rams. But anyways, OBJ thing is OBJ wants to land in a certain situation. And why wouldn't you want to play with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams? Number one, Devontae Adams is going to take number one attention. So then OBJ can go out there and, take the top off the defense and do the things that he wants to do. So that makes sense as a landing spot. That's not surprising to me. I think the 49ers are in the mix as far as they know they need to do something to jumpstart the team. And maybe he's that guy. But we'll see. They're not going to go crazy on money. They're not going to, blow it out of the water for him. And it is a little bit of a stretch him coming to California because of taxes.
True.
It does come, that way. It's a problem. So I'm curious where he ends up. I think Green Bay is a very solid choice for him. But will that front office actually bring in OBJ? That front office doesn't like to bring in extra weapons. They don't like to bring in extra guys that are going to help Aaron Rodgers for some reason.
It's weird.
Oh, Aaron, we got a great talent out there. Yeah, let's see him sign somewhere else. That's usually how they operate. So it doesn't matter if OBJ wants to be there. Do the Packers actually want him? And because they've proven that it doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers wants him. That doesn't matter.
In all honesty, and with the Packers, it feels like if Rodgers wants something, they do the exact opposite.
It's true.
Typically, just to assert control over the franchise and who's actually calling the shots and running things here. And you may be a Hall of Famer, but this is our organization. This is our team.
Yeah.
You're just gonna stand back there and drop back and take. Hey, you know what? Just trade him to San Francisco next year in the offseason. It'll be all peachy. Well, we won't. I know personally, I won't ever tell Aaron Rodgers no about anything. Just yes. Just yes.
Simp.
For Rodgers, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit for A-Rod. No, so the guy you're talking about too, by the way, from the Titans that was released, Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds was released.
There you go. Thank you.
Breon Borders. Josh Reynolds is a wide receiver, and Breon Borders is a corner.
Okay,
but I think you're talking specifically about Reynolds.
I am talking about Reynolds because we just lost Mohamed Sanu.
Correct.
He's 6'3", he's 200 pounds, and he's a guy that had a pretty good year last year. He comes there as a free agent, expecting to be a big part of that football team, and then they go out and they get Julio Jones. So guess what? You're not a big part of that football team.
Well, now you're in theory, right? He's sitting there going, all right, well, I'm number 3. Well, that sucks, but at least I'll be in the mix. And then Akeem Westbrook steps up over there, and Chester Rogers is another guy who starts outplaying him a little bit, and all of a sudden he's a nothing.
It's roles, It's the role that he was going to fill, but he's only $500,000 against the cap.
That's pretty cheap.
So put in a claim. You know what I mean? I would think a lot of teams are going to try to claim him, but if I'm the 49ers, I'm putting in a waiver claim on Josh Reynolds, trying to get him to San Francisco. He would fit that Mohamed Sanu role. You could place him right in there right now. So the answer might not be OBJ, but him.
And he also played for the Rams, which is a very similar scheme and probably some similar concepts as well as some terminology. So he's not going to have to learn as much of the playbook because he's going to have a good understanding and grasp of it already.
100%. And it's another big guy, right? 6'3", 200 pounds.
6'3", yeah. 6'3". Well, they have.
I know they say 196, but
they have him listed at 196, but he's basically 200.
Yeah, it was. How long has he been 196?
Yeah, he's been 196 since he came in the league.
He's one McRib away from 200.
Okay, there. I see what you did there. Kelvin Benjamin's a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end, and yeah, he's a McRib away from 200 pounds. But look, no, Josh Reynolds had some success early on. Well, early on too with the Rams. Last year was a big year for him. 52 catches, 618 yards. He was targeted 81 times. Yeah, he's definitely done some things there, and he's had some good games and good opportunities. So if you're San Francisco, you're just looking for someone to bridge the gap between now and Mohamed Sanu, and makes sense. And you don't have to overpay. You're not even close to overpaying. $500K.
Yeah, it's an upgrade over Jawan Jennings as well.
And it's not a downgrade.
No,
it's not a downgrade.
It's a guy with experience and knows how to do things in the NFL, and somebody that signed as a free agent that Tennessee thought they were going to have to count on this year. I mean, they didn't know they were going to get Julio Jones. So it would be, I think, a nice pickup for the 49ers. So that might be something that they do. But, I mean, there's going to be, 11 teams in front of them that are going to put claims on. So you might not be able to get them, but it's at least something I hope they look into.
They definitely should look at it. They need to look at all their options, in all honesty. It's just what it is. It's what you need to be doing. It's what you need to be considering. And it's one of those things right now where if you're the 49ers, right, it's the season's not over. The season's not done. But things are kind of dreary. What you don't need to do also is bring in potentially a volatile personality into the locker room.
Who's volatile?
Potentially volatile.
No, I know, but who are you talking about?
OBJ.
Oh, okay.
OBJ, potentially volatile.
I was trying to see where you were going with. I didn't know if you were talking about the same guy. I'm like, I've never heard anything.
Oh, no, not about Reynolds. No, not about Reynolds. This is my point. The point I was trying to make is that as much as I would like to have OBJ because he is an upgrade, right? The volatile aspect of what he brings to a locker room personality wise, the questions surrounding that, the questions surrounding his character, off-field decisions, on-field antics, those things in a locker room that's already kind of our locker room isn't, I wouldn't say unstable, but things are definitely gloomy. They're a little not as fun for the 49ers right now.
By whose account, though?
Well, I would say, I mean, as a player, right? You had aspirations and expectations of playoffs and Super Bowl. Things haven't gone your way. by definition, it's not all sunshines and rainbows right now in the locker room.
No, it's not. But I wonder, how do we know what's actually going on in that locker room?
We don't. It would be to assume one thing, right? To assume specifically that you have a split in the locker room, you have negativity in the locker room, you have fractioning or anything like that would be to speculate. I wouldn't say that it's speculation to assume that right now everyone's not the happiest at this point.
Oh, I'm sure they're not the happiest.
Correct.
I mean, but to know their actual mindset of what they're doing,
it's too hard.
None of them have come out and talked about it. And everyone's trying to read into these tweets that people are sending, like Deebo Samuel's tweeting out stuff. And he literally had to clarify, this is not about football, people. Because people are just wanting there to be something, looking for something, anything. But really, is the locker room that bad? When you have a situation where Brandon Ayuk has turned around his season because of something that was said to him by a locker room teammate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. I don't see people that are leaping over other people and diving and getting aggressive with each other on the field and having passion for what's going on the football field as people that are, down and out. To me, it doesn't scream that.
No.
But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone else knows that this locker room's completely frayed. Everyone is so sure they know what's going on in there. I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, I mean, the same people that will tell you that the locker room is frayed and that, people are starting to choose sides or, maybe people are getting fed up. Maybe the team isn't fully behind and supporting Kyle Shanahan are the same guys that are doing terrible breakdowns on 49ers game film and all 22 film and, talking about how Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are oblivious when out on the football field.
Yeah, if people that are starting to attack Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are just doing too much. I mean, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner have been playing very well this year. They've been overcoming way extra. I mean, from early on in the season where Nick Bosa was getting chipped on the outside, occupying double teams, to Fred Warner playing out of position against Chicago where he played a lot of snaps at outside linebacker to help protect his defense and help his team win football games. These guys have done a lot. Fred has played without Dre Greenlaw, and he doesn't need Dre Greenlaw to be successful, but he does need very good, linebackers around him. Everyone does. There was always solid linebackers around these very good ones, and that's how you're better. I mean, everyone talks about Brian Urlacher. He had Lance Briggs. I mean, these guys aren't out there flowing, all by themselves. Ray Lewis had C.J. Mosley. These guys are not scrubs that are around these really great linebackers. They're not out there by themselves, and they need good players around them to be able to do their job. That's just how it goes. And if you're picking certain plays out, if you're cherry picking plays and being like, oh, Fred missed on this one, he sucks, you're doing a disservice to all the fans that you're bringing that information to, because for every bad play for Fred, you're going to have like 5 or 6 that are absolutely great, where he's doing everything he can do to be in the right spots. It's right now it's just getting too far for over the top for 49ers personalities. They're kind of going complete doom and gloom. The world, it's over. Everything is wrong in the world.
Well, they got nothing else to talk about, right? Because they can't actually. They can't, because why not? And because they can't look at the game and actually understand what's going on or decipher why mistakes are happening, other than mistakes are happening. And these can't be fixed because they continue to happen, and we don't understand why they're happening. So the season's over, and this team just sucks, right? I've seen countless news articles now coming out about the 49ers that it's literally, it's all about how these roster moves here should have given everyone the red flags and knowing that this team was going to be
Was that the
trash.
Michael Silver one?
Yes.
Who was it that he said? I didn't read it.
I read the first paragraph and started vomiting profusely.
Which 2 players? Because I saw the headline and
I'll have to pull it up. I don't want to misquote Mr. Silver.
It did not pique my interest enough. Anytime these editorials come out where they are saying they think they know, usually I'm going to go ahead and go away from it. I want actual knowledge. I want actual facts, and those aren't it.
True. He said, realistically, by the way, we're teetering on the edge of irrelevancy and running out of chances to make it right. That right there is the one that made me just. So the first one, the first one is the Armstead signing, the Eric Armstead signing and subsequent release of DeForest Buckner that leads to the draft pick of Javon Kinlaw. That Eric Armstead move sets off a chain reaction of awful because Armstead hasn't lived up to Buckner. We no longer have Buckner. Javon Kinlaw hasn't been on the field. And then the other one is Jason Verrett.
What? Huh? Jason Verrett was a cheap option who played a Pro Bowl caliber season last year. What exactly is this fool talking about? I mean, Michael Silver, you were a good reporter in the Bay Area back in the 80s and 90s. Um, Stay away. Do it. This it's not a good take, and I know everyone wants to highlight the Buckner one, but it was strategic by the 49ers. I mean, was it the right move? Who knows? But we do know this: they got Armstead, they got Kinlaw, and they got Jimmy Ward. That was what they felt they had to do to keep those guys and lose Buckner. Do we want to lose Buckner in any world? No. But I mean, I to me that whole trade thing is being way overanalyzed and way overhyped.
Buckner is having himself an incredible season, and you can be upset all you want about 2020. Eric Armstead was playing out of position, and you can say he wasn't. You can say, well, that's fine that he was playing out of position, but he still sucked while he was out there. Okay, he didn't have a great year. I wouldn't say sucked. He was definitely asked to absorb a role that was more predicated on him setting the edge, taking on double teams, making sure that he was not in a role last year that was going to lead to him putting up stats and numbers. That's not what his job was last year. His job was to not get beat and not create huge running lanes and not lose contain on certain downs and distances, and do the best you can out there as a pass rusher on the edge on pass downs, because it's not his strength. He's moved to the interior this year because of injuries, and he's been playing absolutely phenomenal on the inside. When he is outside, he's doing a great job of setting the edge, not getting beat on contain. I mean, he's a top 4 statistical pass rusher pressure of quarterbacks in the league. He's graded out as one of the best defensive tackles in all of football right now. One of the best defensive linemen, not just D tackles, defensive linemen, right behind Nick Bosa, who is now catching flack for reasons and things.
7 sacks isn't enough.
Apparently, it's hot garbage, and I just don't understand it. And Fred Warner, now that you just brought that up, him catching flack, this is crazy to me. Does Fred Warner have a 100 tackle solo season in his career so far, Ant? He does not. You know what he's on track for right now? A 100 tackle solo season, first of his career. Mm-hmm. He's graded out higher right now per PFF and per the NFL. And these people love going to PFF. So that's why I pull it up. You love going to PFF. Well, numbers don't lie. 2019, everyone thought Fred Warner had an incredible year, right? It's part of the reason why I went to the Super Bowl. Graded out at a 69. He's a 72 right now on PFF. So what are you talking about? Keep your consistency. Like, the people talk about Fred Warner. Keep your consistency, because you'll run to PFF the first chance you get when it proves something of yours, and you'll ignore it completely and start making stuff up the minute it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to be careful on how you look at numbers in general.
True.
I saw a tweet, from a pretty prominent guy who's, have a platform for 49ers, and he was saying that the defensive line needs to step it up, that they're underperforming this year because they don't have the pressures and stuff that they had in the past. You do realize that when you lose your starting corner, right, that they're going to be able to get rid of the ball quicker. It's gonna not be good for your pass rush. Your pass rush isn't going to be able to be home. That there's a complementary thing that needs to happen at times. That secondary needs to be able to hold the fort so the defensive line can get there, and at times that defensive line needs to get there so the DBs can get it done. They work in unison.
How dare you?
And that if you just cherry pick those information, you can make anyone look bad. It makes it look like the whole team is playing bad when really the whole team isn't playing terrible. There's execution issues at certain times that make it look bad. Is there players that are underperforming at times? 100%. But sometimes it's becoming too over the top, right? It's just becoming too over the top. We're getting crazy now. We want buy Kyle Shanahan, buy John Lynch, buy Jed York. I mean, they're just really ready to say bye Fred Warner, bye Nick Bosa,
I don't know if you
George Kittle.
I don't know if you knew this, but they only had one good year.
Yeah, apparently.
Just one good year. One good year. One good year.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's crazy to me. I mean, it's time to. Do you remember when football and sports used to be a way to detach and like enjoy life, like for a minute, like things were different? And
then you could. Well, here's the thing, right? That even if things were bad, right? If your team played bad, you could self-contain in the moment. You could self-contain in the moment. I mean, that was the best part about playing when I was younger, right? It's like getting away from school, getting away from, if it was bullies, if it was brothers, siblings, parents, friends that were being annoying, like, stupid chores, responsibilities. Playing sports, coaching sports was a moment. It's a brief moment in time where you get to put a pause on everything else and just focus in on this thing, right? This thing that is creative, intense, passionate, you know, crazy. I mean, it's in theory football, like it's crazy. It's a crazy concept. You have 11 guys on both sides of the football running around trying to smack each other. I mean, it's violent and brutal and almost caveman-esque, and yet some way, somehow, through years and years of playing and coaching and developing and the game evolving and players evolving, it's an art, right? It's 11 guys working in unison trying to accomplish a goal. It's 11 guys working in unison to counteract what is being put in front of them, thrust in front of them to slow an opponent down. It's beautiful in nature and also at the same time savage. It's unlike any other sport that you can possibly play. And yet people just don't appreciate that anymore. It's all about the results, man. It's all about that W. It's not about, the level
it's not
of
even about the
execution.
W.
It's true. It's not even about the W.
It's about the numbers.
It's about the numbers.
Fantasy football, betting, all that stuff is played into it now. If the 49ers win and don't cover, yeah, there's going to be people upset.
There's going to be 49ers fans that are upset.
100%. If the 49ers win, but they have Elijah Mitchell on their fantasy team and he doesn't run the ball enough, they're going to be upset.
Well, you should have run the ball more.
And it does push the, what they're doing. And they don't understand that there are certain people that are pushed to get clicks. So what they do is push narratives and they start wars with different players. So that way you will feel some type of way emotionally and go with it. And unfortunately,
it's all emotion now.
It's all emotion, and it's unfortunate. And football has changed forever. And the approach of even how I see football is changed, because what I want to do is give everyone a Derrick Henry stiff arm that has these beliefs, because it's like, what are you guys seeing? You know what I mean? I don't understand the actual breakdown of it. I'm too football minded for that. So it's kind of crazy, and I think that it's an interesting way. I look at what people, how people view football, and I think there's always going to be a section of people that just view it a certain way, and that's changing, and football is changing forever, and the way that it's played is different. The way that it's watched and consumed is different. But yeah, I have the same mindset as some of the, I seen some really cool 49ers fans on Twitter this week, that are very willing to buy those season tickets that people want to get rid of. If you are willing to sell those season tickets, hit us up, man.
For real.
We are ready. You want to sell them for, a quarter of face value, like some of you were saying, because no one wants to go to the game.
Done.
Go ahead and throw that our way. We'll go ahead and fill Levi's Stadium. And then maybe then it'll be full with a lot of faithful fans and not some of the ones that just came along recently. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, because I do think that there's a section that's like, wait a second, let's see what's going on. I understand the team's underperforming. Like, that's not the issue.
And this is the thing, right? This is why, I know some of the Cutback crew gets a little frustrated and they get fed up, and they have people come in and people come in and, they say what they say in the comment section. They say what they say in the live chat. They don't agree. They're frustrated with us because we're not as frustrated as them. I get it. Everyone's levels of frustration on this are going to be at different points. But I'm gonna give everyone a little bit of a tidbit, Ant. I don't know if they know this or not. Just because you're the loudest doesn't make you the most right. Because you're the loudest with your frustration doesn't mean that you're the one that's completely 100% accurate.
It usually means you're not.
It's usually the inverse. But that also doesn't mean that because we're the ones that are reserved right now and not overreacting or being over emotional, that we're 100% correct. And we're never going to be a group of people that come out and say that, and the podcast is never going to be about that. It's all about perspective. It's all about being able to look at the game, look at what's going on with this team, and try and find a way to find that middle ground, because it's really easy to go high and it's really easy to go low. When things are going really well, it's easy to believe that you're the cream of the crop. You're going to rise to the tippy top and you're never going to come down. And when it's low, it's very easy to do what a lot of people are doing right now, right? Which is panic button everywhere. Every panic button, any button that's red that you can push that's going to sound some sort of noise and raise the alarm, they're smacking it. Whether it's Bosa, whether it's Warner, whether it's Kyle, whether it's Lynch, whether it's Jimmy, it's Trey, it's mishandling the rookies. No matter what it is, these people are hitting these things because it's emotional. Everyone's at a point right now where their emotions are getting to that fever pitch, to the boiling point, Ant. And so if we hit all these buttons, we start smashing all these things into oblivion, these people are going to get all riled up to a fever pitch. They're going to be at our channel, at the gates of Levi's, just foaming at the mouth, wanting things to change. And that's great for us because we're the ones that are starting that. People are going to side with us. They're going to watch our content. They're going to, buy our stuff, click all over the place. And then when it all blows up and implodes and the team's terrible, well, now we can just blame the fact that there's no talent and, this is a rebuild. If you didn't make the mistakes with the previous regime, there'll always be someone else to blame. It's very easy to point fingers. We've said this a lot on this podcast. We've been saying this for a long time. It's really easy to point fingers. The hard part, and typically the hard part, is always the path that is maybe not the most viable, but it's usually the path that is the one you're supposed to take. It's the hard path. The hard part is being able to look at yourself as a fan base, being able to look at yourself as journalists, being able to look at yourself as a coach, as a player, and go, hey, we're maybe not doing things the way we're supposed to. Hey, maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Hey, maybe we're not approaching this the way it's supposed to, or we're supposed to. Al Shanahan has been saying that now for the past few weeks. We've been hearing him talk about how he's got to fix something. He's got to change something in his approach and what he's doing. You've been hearing players talking about how we're not executing. We're not, it's funny. The fan base could actually take a lot from the coach, from the players, from this organization, who's not doing any finger pointing, and instead turning that finger and pointing at themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to give a pause on that. I'm going to let that sink in a little bit. But what I'll say is, yeah, we were booing in the first, right, Levi Stadium, they were booing in the first series of the game.
Yep.
And then you wonder why the 49ers don't have a home field advantage. You have to be loud. You have to be cheering. You have to be a part of the game. You have to be going out there and doing it. And I think there's a section of people that are. Every single week they go out there and they root for their football team and they see what's going to happen and they're realists, right? They're like, no, Daniel Brunskill's not executing all the time, or Demetrius Flanagan-Foles is struggling, or Josh Norman gets too many penalties. There are things, John Chapman said, the 49ers had 12 missed tackles in that game. That's a real comment. That's a real statement. That's not being negative. That's speaking truth.
That's facts.
And those things are all okay, right? Those are the things that are okay. And that's fine. You can realize that you're one game out of the playoffs, because I've seen people, playoffs? We just lost to Colt McCoy. Are you kidding me? Playoffs? We're one game out of the playoffs. And you say, oh, well, we're 3-5.
One game out of the playoffs.
Who cares what record you are? You can make the playoffs at 7-9, Alex. If the other teams aren't playing better,
wasn't there a year where Seattle made it at 6-10?
No, they made it
7-9. 7-9.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the playoffs. Look, okay, so I went and got a haircut, and he's a New Orleans Saints fan, my barber,
yeah.
And he's talking, and the New Orleans Saints are not out of it, right?
Oh, you're 5-3.
Right.
Things aren't great because the quarterback situation, but you're still completely in control of your own destiny. You're not the 49ers. You are in control of your own destiny.
Right.
The 49ers need some help, and they need to do their job.
But you want to know what was said? If Simeon's the quarterback, blow it up. Blow it up. Blow it up. We don't have the receivers. We need a different quarterback. Blow it up. And that's the thing, right? That is kind of where everything is headed now. It's just like, if you're not
instant gratification.
But he also made some good points, and he used to coach back in the day, so he has understanding. They beat Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
The Saints beat Tampa Bay. Niners barely lost to Green Bay. So is there anyone that in the NFC that's like, oh my gosh, they can't lose on a given day?
Anyone can lose.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Now, do I think that the Rams game is going to be absolutely tough?
Oh my gosh, yes.
100% I do. If the 49ers get out of there with a win, I'm going to dance an absolute jig. And if they lose, you know what? I'm gonna realize if they fall 2 games back, it's getting close. It's getting close.
We're there. We're at that point, right? You talked about because we had this conversation earlier in the week, right? On Monday. If we start moving back closer to the cliff, then you have some concerns. Falling 2 games back is moving closer to the cliff, and being in that position now where any team can come up and just be like, "Oh, hey there," and shove you off.
Yeah, I think 3 games back. I think once you get 3 games
at this point of the season,
if you're 3 games behind or you're out of the playoff, you're not going to make the playoffs. But 2 games is still striking distance.
Well, especially since at 2 games you still play Minnesota, you still have to play the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, those are still 2 games that are going to determine potential playoff seeding.
I just don't understand why somebody saying blow it up is not a triggering statement, but somebody saying playoffs is a triggering statement.
Because it's that instant gratification thing. Because they didn't get their immediate satisfaction of this team being undefeated or 1 or 2 losses or a significant winning record, sitting at the top of the division, sitting in control of potentially the 1 seed or in the conversation for the 1 seed, because that was the expectation and we didn't get that. Well, now my expectations have changed. I don't think you're a good football team anymore because you didn't meet my expectations initially. So now I want you to blow it up. And anyone who doesn't want that, right? It's that instant gratification. I want what I want because I'm not getting it. Now I'm going to throw a fit. So you want this team to make playoffs. Well, I don't because I want Kyle gone. I want Kittle traded for draft picks. I want Fred Warner traded for draft picks. I want to blow this whole thing up, recoup our capital, and start it all over again so that we can go back through this same exact cycle that we just went through. This would now be with two different coaches, two successful coaches in this organization in a decade?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys want to do this with Jim Harbaugh, and now you want to do this with Kyle Shanahan, and people go, oh, Kyle Shanahan's not successful. He doesn't have a winning record. He's been to a Super Bowl. He rebuilt a team, been to a Super Bowl. We're one game out of the playoffs. You all want to blow it up right now. I'm not there. I can't be there. I cannot stand on that side of the road with you and be like, this is a great idea. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I'm going to consistently sit here because we're one game out of the playoffs, and I'm going to say we're going to make playoffs. I'm going to say enjoy Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be here until at least one year through Trey Lance's first season as a starting quarterback.
True.
He's not going anywhere. John Lynch isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So get comfortable. And all the people that are talking about they're not going to go to a game until they move out of Levi's Stadium.
Have fun.
I'll see you all in about 30 years. Enjoy that. And you're talking about them going back to San Francisco with the rules and taxes and everything in place in San Francisco. It's not gonna happen
ever.
If you think that's an actual thing, you don't live in California. It's crazy out here. So I think that there's a lot of just crazy takes. I'm hoping that the 49ers figure out how to win some games during this season, and some of these takes kind of even out and everyone comes back down to earth. You don't have to be all the way up here. You don't have to be all the way down here.
You can be right in the middle.
You can be right in the middle. You can just root for your team, and when they lose, you're disappointed, and when they win, you're super excited, and you just look at everything like that. And I think that's okay.
Right? Be critical when critical is required. Be optimistic when optimism is acceptable and not outlandish. Be reasonable.
Be optimistic when it's outlandish. Who cares?
You can be optimistic when it's outlandish,
Who
but
cares?
here's the thing, right? It's okay to not want to set your expectations to the moon in fear of being let down. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine to set the bar at a reasonable. I was unaware though, Ant, that reasonable or that one game out of playoffs and us making it as a 7th seed was an unreasonable goal for this team to hit.
It's not unreasonable. If it wasn't within striking distance, it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? If they were 3 games back,
if they were the 0-8 Lions.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. Then
we're gonna win 9 straight and make the playoffs.
That's the thing is it's just knowing kind of where you're at. I mean, I get it. And the 49ers are kind of landlocked, right? There's not a lot of moves that they can make. There's not a lot of changes. It's gonna be this roster figuring out. But doesn't everyone want them to figure it out so that way they can build and get consistency and build into next year?
You would think. I think most do. This is the hard part, right? With Facebook and Twitter and all these social media sites just being prominent and everyone having the ability to say whatever's on their mind whenever they feel like it. Most rational people, from what I tell, just hardly comment or say anything. They're just watching, trying to enjoy, and tuning out the nonsensical noise. It's everything else that is being ratcheted up to an 11. So sometimes the loudest section of the fan base isn't actually the majority of the fan base. Sometimes it's the minority. A good chunk of the time, I would say it's the minority. I don't think most 49ers fans feel that way about this team, that they're ready to blow it up. But the loud ones do. And it's, frustrating for everyone involved. I get the frustration, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. The frustration is not...
Well, it's real.
It's real, and it deserves to exist because of the way this team is played. However, the fever pitch that is reached for some is, I don't know how you get there as quick as you've gotten there, but I mean, I guess to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, frustration is evident. If you watch our all 22 films, there's some real frustration. Sometimes there's some head scratching plays.
There's frustration when we win. I mean, last week's all 22 film breakdown. I think a Patreon they enjoyed the breakdown, but I think everyone was expecting, an uplifting, good time, and we did not have that great of a time. It was nice to watch the 49ers win and watch some of the execution work. It was absolutely infuriating and annoying with some of the other stuff that we were having to deal with and watch. And unfortunately, it's not going to get better this week either.
How do you know?
Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that the defense is going to do similar stuff to what they did against the Bears.
Interesting. Interesting. We might have a different opinion on this.
Oh, okay. I like this.
I want to break down the Rams even more, but yeah, I'm not ready to go ahead and chalk this up as a complete loss yet. I haven't went and watched all the film. I haven't looked at all the matchups. I think it's easy for everyone to just say, "Oh, yeah, they're for sure going to lose to the Rams. The Rams are so good."
Oh, I meant the Cardinals.
Oh, the Cardinals film breakdown.
The Cardinals film breakdown. That's more what I meant.
No, that one's not going to be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say. I was like, did you see?
Oh, I thought you were.
Did you already see something that I
thought
didn't
you were talking
see?
about the Rams already. I'm like, I'm not ready to completely write that off yet.
No,
I do realize.
What?
It's going to be tough.
Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be a problem for the offense.
Yeah, just sometimes when it appears that it's going to go one way, it goes absolutely the other way. And also, can we just have the rest from the last Monday Night Football game work and make those calls on the Rams?
Bro, can we? No, because I don't want Tony Correnti anywhere near a football field ever again.
As long as Tony Correnti is hip checking, Aaron Donald.
You know he's not gonna be though. He's gonna be hip checking. It's gonna be Nick Bosa. It's gonna be Arden Key. And dude, that was by Tony. A total clown.
Dude, you know what it looked like in basketball where you got the guy with the ball and as they're running the screen, he kind of turns his hip and kind of hits the guy. That's what it reminded me of.
It's the reverse pivot butt check.
Yeah.
That's my favorite that's my favorite kind of screen to set. Reverse pivot butt check.
It was well done.
Wonderful. The reverse pivot butt check is one of my all-time favorite moves. It would drive my kids crazy in practice when we be running through stuff and we'd have a set with a handoff. And I would get the ball off the elbow, off the 45-degree nail cut and catch it on the perimeter. Catch it. Guy would be following and trailing because he doesn't want to take the handoff, and I would reverse pivot butt check him and wide open for a layup. And I'm just like, how does that always work with you? And like, we literally practice it like 3 times a week. It's part of our EDDs specifically so you guys get used to reverse pivoting and putting your butt in space in a spot where you know the defender is going to be so that he hits you and then you make a pass. What? It drove me crazy, but that's basically what it was. Tony Correnti did that, and then threw a flag. He was ready to throw the flag the whole time, man. You know that he wanted to toss him from the game for contact with an official, and then someone in the booth was like, "Oh, Tony. Hey, we got you on camera, man. You butt checked him."
It's time for Sky Judge. It is 100% time for Sky Judge for somebody to be able to, have the ability to look at a ref and be like, "Hey, that's not a good call. Now you need to change that," and they don't have to review it. Just have that guy sit there and say that didn't happen. That's a bad call. Pick up that flag.
Yep,
it's 100% time for it.
Here's the thing, right? It would actually help the officials in the league. It would actually, bring some credibility back to the officials and to some of the game. If you had that, if you had a guy up there, it doesn't even have to be third party. It can be someone that the NFL officials agree
another ref,
that they agree with his judgment. They think the person's got a good call, and he just sits there right on camera and just in the earpiece, right? Hey, we got a hold here on 75. He's watching it. Hey guys, that's not a hold.
Make it retired ones, right? You have all these ones, Mike Pereira and all those guys that are doing all that.
The problem is the Shield doesn't want to pay those guys what Pereira and them are making. That's why they're going.
Get the networks to pay them.
True, you could.
I mean, make it so the networks can jump in on it and listen to them as they talk. Give full transparency.
Oh, like they did in the AAF.
Yeah, it was Sky Judge. I mean, if they did it, that would change the game forever. Because then you would be able to say, like, hey, that's not offensive pass interference. And if they let it go, you're like, oh, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it would give a little bit of transparency to the game.
But do they want that transparency?
No, they don't. Not right now.
No.
But at what point do they get forced? Games like this on Monday night, they push it a little bit farther, to happening. It gets a little bit closer.
More and more people are like wanting to click off and tune off. Want to turn out. They don't want to show up and watch. What's the point of watching if this is what I'm getting, right?
I wonder
if I'm watching Zebra. This is a game that is being decided by officials. Why am I watching?
Have you looked at any of the ratings? Are the ratings up? Are the ratings down?
I haven't looked at anything.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've been solely focused on San Francisco in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah,
which is different than years past because in years past, before we did the podcast, I watched the 49ers heavy and would watch replays and things like that. But never to the extent that I'm doing now. And so there was a lot of other free time, to watch what was going on.
Oh, yeah. When I would leave work, I would watch, Monday. I was excited for Monday nights. I was excited for Thursday nights, everything like that.
Now I'm just excited for this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Now it's just a lot of 49ers consumption
It's true.
all the time. It definitely does change the dynamics of the NFL and sports in general when you follow one team so intense. And I think that a lot of people do that. I didn't realize how many people were so, set on one team and that was their complete focus. But it appears that there's a lot that are, and the ones that are watching everything are like fantasy owners and that kind of stuff. Thank God I don't indulge in any of that.
Thank goodness, Ant. Thank goodness that you
Yeah.
don't, and that I'm here to do it for the both of us.
Yeah, you do enough for all of us.
It's true.
Alex has enough teams for everyone in the Cutback crew.
It's true. Actually, that's not true. There's over 2,000 of them, man. I don't have 2,000
Alex
leagues.
has 2,000.
I don't have 2,000
Alex has 2,050 fantasy
I
football
don't have
teams.
2,050
Yeah,
fantasy
he
football
does.
leagues. Cutback crew, I love you. I don't have that many fantasy football teams. I cannot distribute one to each of you. Ant is a big fibberino, and
Am I now?
I don't appreciate it.
I don't know. You have leaks, so I'm just gonna make up the story that is exactly what's
I
happening.
have leaks.
No, you don't have leaks.
I don't have leaks. Right.
You probably do. I just have to ask Megan.
Cutback crew, you let us know what you thought about all the off the cuff stuff. Is there anything that's frustrating you that you want us to talk about or dive into a little bit more? Any conspiracy theories that you're hearing? Any breakdowns that are bugging you that you just, you know what? Cutback, 49ers Cutback. Take a look at this. Right? Give us a response to this. I want to see it. If so, let us know, because you know what? We're always looking to add additional content, do extra things. We could throw it on here on the channel. We could Patreon. We could throw it on the members only stuff here on YouTube. There's a lot of ways for us to go about it. We could just even throw up a little snippet on Discord or YouTube or Twitter. I mean, there's tons of things for us to do with this. And at the end of the day, we're doing this because we love the 49ers. We're doing this because we want to talk about this team with the 49ers fan base, with the faithful, and with our subscribers. We want to talk with you about this football team. Some days there's tons of things to talk about, like the other day after the Monday fiasco that was all of the things going on with the San Francisco 49ers. And some days, Ant, not a lot happening for the 49ers. And it's time to just dive into what is being said and what's being discussed.
That is when we get the crazy thing, right? Is when we get is when we get into days where there's not as much like injury news, practice information because no one's practicing. Then everyone has times to come up with editorials, and to break down film. And if anyone is telling you that Nick Bosa is playing bad or Fred Warner is playing bad, stop watching, move to another one that's breaking it down. And you'll find people that break it down. Not every breakdown is equal. I'm not saying you need to watch ours. There's other ones that do a pretty good job. Go watch John Chapman. Go watch Johnny Dell's.
Johnny Dell's.
Yeah, very good. There's another one on Twitter too, 49ers. Oh, I'm gonna forget it, but I like watching theirs too. And we follow them, and I can't remember their handle. I'm sorry, guys.
Is it Science Schemes?
No, it's not. It's not that one, but I do appreciate them as well when they put up 49ers content.
Yep.
So there's a lot of good ones you can go on there, and they're gonna break it down. They're gonna break it down the right way. And then there's some that just aren't. And realize who those are. And if you hear something, you're like, wait a second. Go back and watch it yourself. Go back and watch somebody else's review of the same play. And if it's completely different, then make up your own opinion. But right now, there's some crazy stuff out there. Some crazy takes. People are trying to make themselves the protagonist. And it's getting interesting.
Anyone that's trying to make themselves the protagonist is definitionally not the protagonist. That's not how that works.
I understand that, but it's not about definition. It's about perception.
Wrong. Definition matters significantly more than perception. I know to those people it does not, Ant. It's all about how they're perceived.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But in the real world, where how real things
not the
work,
real world. It's 49ers Twitter. The real world does not exist in 49ers Twitter. You can literally have you can have a different take the next day and be completely warranted. Receipts do not matter. You can be completely excited that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch got a contract extension, and then a year later...
One good year! One good year!
It was the worst move. You did it after one good year. How could you?
Yeah. I mean, he flipped the script pretty quick. Look, he became a new man, and he became a new man very quickly. Look, that was a big yikes joke. So if you want to know more about that, and you want to be on the inside, on the ends, hop over to Patreon. Watch Big Yikes this week. It is absolutely incredible. One of the all-time greatest episodes of Big Yikes that we've ever produced, put together. Editor did a great job of grabbing all the clips, and did a great job of finding all the takes, and found our Mean Ocean segment. We really, Ant, I cannot thank you enough.
I'm not sure I found it or it found me.
We'll go with it found you.
Yeah, it's one of those times I think it found me.
Well, you were staring out at that ocean, right? Trying to glean some sort of something for the segment. And
I
all
was
of a sudden,
riding a wave of positivity.
Exactly.
And this negative take came flying up. It was like, get off my wave, bruh.
Oh my goodness gracious. But Big Yikes, a lot of fun over there on Patreon, as well as just all the content that's coming out. The playthroughs on Madden, the Zoom hangouts, no matter what it is, Patreon's got a lot of different content for you, a lot of different ways for you to engage with us. Discord as well, a lot of ways to communicate with us. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, tons of ways for you to interact with 49ers Cutback, with the Cutback crew. But no, I mean, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, because the rest of this week heats up. Tomorrow we got a daily for you at 11 a.m. that you're not going to want to miss. We got Quest for the West coming up later tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. But tomorrow's daily is going to be fun, leading up and getting closer to the Madden Sim and the Friday Frenzy. A lot of great stuff coming on this channel. Don't miss out on any of it.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to the Madden simulation at this point. It's become one of my favorite things during the week. Because you just never know what's going to happen.
Never.
So I just like watching it for the first time. The reactions that I have to give, because it's just over the top excitement. It is like 49ers Twitter in one episode of Madden. That's what it feels like. You're just up and down roller coaster ride. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I want to see if Madden thinks the 49ers can actually beat the Rams.
True. I mean, I want to see it. Want to see it as well. Patreon just got a good look too at this week's. Oh, actually, YouTube got it too. I think I put it up on YouTube for our members only. They got the Rams game. This Rams 49ers playthrough.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to everyone's reaction to the playthrough next week. I've already played the game for Jacksonville, San Francisco. Things may get a little hairy. They may get a little hairy in that playthrough. I apologize in advance to everybody. Make sure you watch all the way to the very end. But look, it's a lot of fun. It's a good episode, and I feel a little better. I feel like we got stuff off of our chests and some things that were bothering us out there into the ether, into the Cutback crew, and hopefully everyone feels a smidge better about the 49ers and a smidge better about this team going forward. And now we can start to shift our attention fully to the Los Angeles Rams and whatever it is they're going to be throwing our way, which I imagine is going to be a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna. They've got a good team. They got a really good football team. I'm looking forward to getting into the Rams as we go, further in the week. The 49ers are gonna have to show up in a big way, and it's gonna be in prime time. Let's see what they can do. But if there's ever a time when you can put your foot, your gas pedal, drop it down to the low, hit the NOS button, and just see what can happen. Why not now? Why not this team? Why not?
Why not us?
Yeah, why not us?
Why not us?
It's like Little Giant said, one time.
True. The 49ers have been saying whatever it takes. It's now time. It's time for whatever it takes. Find it deep down, guys. Do what you got to do. Kyle Shanahan, dig deep. Find a way to get through to your guys. Find a way to get this thing turned. Right this ship. Get us into the playoffs.
Playoffs?
One game back.
You kidding me?
I'm just hoping we win a game. Playoffs. One game back. We can get this done. We still have faith. And until the next one, 49ers fans, Cutback crew, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.